Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in today's episode of The Hypnotist, I'm going to be doing another one of these random word hypnosis sessions. They will evolve over time, I think, because I had a couple of days break between the last time I recorded one of these and just kind of thinking about it. It occurred to me there are so many different things that could be randomly generated. Health conditions, for example, could be randomly generated. So many different, protocols, for example, within hypnosis, body parts, issues, lots of different things. And many different metaphors could be fused into this as well. So a metaphor generator, for example, might be something thrown in the mix for the future. But right now I'm going to use the pre-existing ones just to kind of maintain the momentum of that. If you haven't heard this before, then effectively it's 3 different web pages generating different kind of information stimulus, if you will, that then gets used in a real-time hypnosis session. This is being recorded for YouTube as well as my podcast. So I'm going to go straight into, first of all, the random destination element, which is used for the induction. So let's do this now. Clicking spin it. So this is a place called Aguas Calientes in Peru, known for dinner. Recommended places to visit are the Inca Bridge. So it's got kind of links to that. It's a small town at the bottom of the valley next to Machu Picchu. So of course many people are famous or know Machu Picchu, but they probably haven't heard of Aguas Calientes and the principal access point to the site. So pretty much all the visitors that go to Machu Picchu pass through Aguas Calientes. So in many ways, it's a stepping stone, it's a bridge, it's an entrance, and that kind of stuff. So I'm looking at some of the images around here. Okay, so it's very mountainous, as you would expect in the run-up to Machu Picchu, obviously in Peru. So I think this is going to be quite an interesting location for the induction. Now for the random emotion generator, I'm going to randomly generate 2 emotions. These are nice warm ones. These are pride and happiness. Are there 2 emotions that we're going to utilize in this session? And then the random word generator, 3 nouns. Oh, these are interesting. Salesperson, revenge, and arrogant. So revenge and arrogant, you could say, are on the opposite sides of the spectrum of things like happiness and pride, which are generally quite positive emotions. So that's quite interesting. And then salesperson, I'm not really sure how I'm going to fuse that into the hypnosis session, but you could look at a salesperson as being a person of influence that helps people arrive at decisions, for example. So that might fuse in to this session. So we've shared the screen. For those people watching, you've seen those randomly generated words. I've got my 15-minute hourglass here, so I'm going to turn this over, and it's just going to be a short hypnosis session based on those randomly generated words that we've just come up with. So find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in, imagine breathing in a feeling of calm and relaxation. And as you exhale, If it's safe to do so, allow your eyelids to close and find yourself getting deeper and deeper relaxed in a quiet, focused state of concentration. Continuing to breathe in that resourceful feeling of relaxation and exhaling anything that no longer serves you, perhaps stress, tension, anxiety. Just imagine it leaving from you in your outward breath. That's right. Deeper and deeper relaxed. And as your physical body relaxes, your mind becomes activated, desiring a journey. Many people within their lifetimes will take on journeys of particular significance. Some people will call it a pilgrimage. Some people will say they're going out there to find themselves. Other people may just utilize time, a gap year, travel, to learn something about themselves that they simply didn't realize before. And one of those places that some people have on their bucket list, seek to find deeper meaning within themselves, is the ancient Inca city of Machu Picchu. And I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine that you're not in Machu Picchu, but you are in the town that leads up to Machu Picchu, a place called Aguas Calientes. And your mind might be trying to figure out the meaning of this place, and maybe from Aguas you're thinking water, and maybe from Calientes you're thinking hot or warm. And it's possible that either now or in the past this was a place of thermal springs, warm waters, in the same way that Mount Everest has its base camp. For those trekking up to Machu Picchu, this would be the place that journey starts. Imagine being in a small town at the bottom of a valley, knowing that you're just a day away from seeing the magical ancient city of Machu Picchu. Perhaps you can see the nearby river, the Urubamba River, and across the river are sheer cliffs, and a creek flows down from the jungle into the river. Lots of water in this town, but I want you to get a sense that you're about to walk. Imagine you have whatever clothing is required to go on a trek up into the mountains. Imagine it being early in the morning, and you're leaving the town of Aguas Calientes while it's still dark, because it will take time to trek and climb up the cliffs, the hills, to get to this Inca city. And imagine you're walking now. This is a well-worn path. Tourists every year take the same trek. And even though they take the same trek, every individual that climbs this trek is noticing different things. It's the same path, but they're seeing the path through different eyes. And I wonder, as you imagine climbing up those rocks, pathways, perhaps the occasional wooden bridge. Maybe taking pictures of the incredible cliffs and trees growing off the cliffs. What might be on your mind as you take this journey? For some people it's a state of happiness. And why wouldn't it be? This isn't a job to do. This is your spare time, your free time. Perhaps something that was on a vision board or a bucket list for many years. A place that you've destined, had to save up money, time to travel to. And yet here you are. And because of the nature of this ancient city, you can't suddenly arrive there in a bus. It's a place that can only be navigated by foot. So you walk. And as you walk, you're smiling. And you're smiling because of the positive anticipation as to what you will experience when you see this ancient city for the very first time. And the fact that it's not easy, this journey, several hours, gives you time to think. And I want you to think about what it means to be doing this journey. And I want you to reflect on perhaps parts of your personality that may exist but may no longer serve you. Every person has an element of arrogance. And some arrogance is healthy, signaling a sign of confidence and self-esteem. But sometimes arrogance is a coping mechanism, a suit of armor, a tough shell to hide something perhaps insecure or vulnerable. And as you imagine climbing up those steep cliffs on the way to Machu Picchu, I want you to think of one area in your life where you've been arrogant. And let's define arrogance as an external representation of confidence that exceeds the actual ability that perhaps you have in that area. Sometimes you see this. People that exude a certain amount of confidence in knowledge or skill, and yet that knowledge or skill really isn't there. In poker, you would call it a bluff. But in real life, arrogance that doesn't meet expertise or competency is a risk. And as you imagine climbing up those steep hills towards Machu Picchu, I want you to make a promise to yourself. The shortcut in life is to pretend to have skills or confidence or knowledge that you don't have, thereby portraying an attitude of arrogance. But what if you have a new standard that you will aim to represent humbleness, subtlety, and you will let your actions, words, and results do the talking? There is no need to brag or boast. Allow what you do and how you are to be your arrogance. And I wonder what that might be like over the next few days and weeks. And as you continue to climb up those steep hills those rocky pathways, I want you to think about the idea of revenge, where someone perhaps did something unjustified to you, and there is a feeling that things are uneven, unjust, and perhaps the idea is that revenge is necessary to even up the imbalance. I want you to entertain an idea that there are two types of revenge. There is destructive revenge and constructive revenge. Destructive revenge is causing harm or pain to perhaps someone, even if it is justified and fair. But then I want you to think of constructive revenge. One useful idea of thinking about revenge is to live your life in a way that means that whoever has caused you harm or pain can't help but notice that you are getting on fine in spite of their efforts. And at some level, constructive revenge means living your best life in such a way where perhaps they'll reflect inwards and realize the error of their ways. I want you to imagine that your behavior, your standards, become a salesperson of wisdom. You don't need to be arrogant with your words, and you don't need revenge with your actions. By raising your standards and living your best life, you can imagine that you are teaching and influencing anyone else in the way that's going to be most effective. As you continue to climb up those steep pathways, eventually you reach what feels like a pinnacle, a peak. And as you look over a few of those rocks, you see it. The ancient city of Machu Picchu. The fact that it took effort to arrive at this destination makes the destination all the more appealing. And I want you to get a sense, as you look at these ancient buildings and temples, of a once powerful civilization, that sometimes the more effort you put into something, the more you appreciate that thing. And isn't that the best form of pride? That positive feeling of accomplishment from a meaningful, worthwhile pursuit, overcoming obstacles, and then eventually achieving what it is that you set out to do. In the same way, here you are climbing all the way up from that town of Aguas Calientes, all the way up to Machu Picchu in the mountains. Locate that feeling of pride within you and realize pride and accomplishment and the gratitude that comes with that is not possible without effort, without resources like determination and resilience, and without a vision of your future, what you want, and doing what's necessary to achieve it. Feel that happiness and pride vibrate in every cell of your body right now, and realize that these useful emotions are the antidote to others like arrogance and revenge. Your own memories, your own standards, your own wisdom is now the salesperson of your emotions, so that you continue to make better and better choices. And then you realize, standing there in front of all these ancient temples and buildings of Machu Picchu, surrounded by mountains and the most beautiful views you've ever seen, that your future is optimistic and positive, and the very best revenge is living your best life. As you accept that all of this is just your imagination going on a journey, just a thought within a thought, an idea within an idea, a dream within a dream, and that actually you're listening to my voice right now firmly in the present. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle those fingers, wiggle those toes. Get a sense of being in your own physical body right now. As very soon I will count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. You will awaken with a feeling of pride, thinking about all those incredible accomplishments you've achieved in your life, and a feeling of happiness for absolutely no reason at all. Starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.
Okay, for the people watching on YouTube, thank you very much for listening to that random hypnosis session, random with complete intent, coming from the random words, locations, and emotions that came from that session. If you found it useful in any way, give a like and a subscribe if you want to continue to listen to more of this kind of stuff. If you have any comments, observations, or suggestions for future areas of new randomness I can throw into the mix, please let me know in the comments. Thank you again for watching, and take care and see you soon.